just posted up this week a makeup look for my festival. Blech. Hey guys, this week I thought I'd share with you my what's in my bag festival edition. Now I've never actually done a what's in my bag video, but I thought a festival theme would be really great video to show you guys, because you know, not only do you find out what's in my bag, but it's also quite an informative little guide on, if you've never been to a festival, what you should and shouldn't take. I recently attended Wireless Festival last month, back at the beginning of July, and I thought this would be a really great idea for a video, and what with August being quite a big festival month, I mean, just off the top of my head I can think there's V Festival, there's Leeds and Reading, there's also Brownstock I believe, and then there's Creamfields, there's SW4, there's loads this month. So if you're going to be going to any of them, then hopefully this video will help you to pick what you shouldn't take when you're going to a festival. Hope you enjoy. First up, I thought I'd show you guys the bag that I took to Wireless. It's from New Look, and I've recently mentioned it in my July favourites, and unfortunately I could not actually find the link for this anymore, but I did buy it really recently, and it was just by the counter, so hopefully if you go in store then you'll still be able to find it. But it's just sort of like a satchel type bag, but it's also got some straps, and whenever I'm at a festival I always like to carry a sort of over the body bag, because it's just super easy, as long as you've got something that's quite secure. I mean, this has only got sort of like a magnetic clip on it, but you know, I always keep an eye on my bag, and I don't take anything that I wouldn't want to lose in there. So I just thought I'd show you guys the bag that I would put my stuff in, and as you can see it's quite big at the bottom. I like to have it sort of quite large but not too big, if you know what I mean. Last year when I went to Wireless I ended up taking a backpack, and I just ended up taking loads of drink and things like that in there, but this year I just thought I'd condense it slightly, because I wasn't going 2 days this year. I only went the one day, which was the day that Kanye West was on, not the day that Drake was supposed to be on, but the day that Kanye West was actually on. And this was just a really great bag. It had enough room in it and it wasn't too big. So let's just start off with what I've got, and as you can see in there, I mean, like, it holds quite a lot. You can see that I've got sun cream and whatever else, but this is a really great bag. I know I'm sort of, I can't really brag about it too, not brag, but talk about it too much, because I can't actually find the link, which is such a pain in the backside. But I did find a really similar bag that I'll link down below, in case you sort of want something like this. But it's also a really great colour as well, because it's quite neutral and it goes with a lot of things. So let's start by seeing what's actually in there, shall we? The weather here in the UK has been really beautiful recently, and so I'm not sure what the month of August has in store for us, but I would suggest going out and purchasing yourself some sun cream if you don't already own it. This is only a factor 15, which is sort of medium protection. This is probably all I need, because I'm quite olive skin, so I tan really easily and I don't tend to get burnt. The only place I do get burnt is on the backs of my arms sometimes. So just carrying something like this around is really great. I know it's going to take up a lot of room, but there's nothing worse than coming back looking like a lobster. On the total opposite end of the spectrum, I've also packed myself a little rain mac, which just looks like this. It was only from New Look, and I bought it because, again, I wasn't sure what the weather was going to be like. It was supposed to be raining in the evening, and it did actually end up raining in the evening. And this is also really great. Instead of taking a cardigan, you can just wrap this over you when it gets chilly in the evenings, because it invariably always gets chilly in the evenings. It doesn't matter how hot the day's been, you need to pack something to just put over your shoulders, or just, you know, something else to just get a little bit warmer, because the evenings get so chilly, especially when you're standing in the middle of a field or a park or whatever. You'll always find you're going to get cold, so I just find that sort of quite a good two-in-one, because if it rains then I can put my hood up, or once it gets a bit chilly I can just pop this on. But this also folds up really, you know, it doesn't take up much room at all. You can really condense it, and it's got some toggles that I just pull around it so that it will just sort of keeps it well nice and tightly packed, because I know, again, they take up loads of room, but I actually think this is just an essential part of going to a festival. Next up, we've got some eye protection, and I actually really love these cute little Ray-Ban sunglasses. I bought them probably about a year, 18 months ago, and they just look like this. They're just tiny and they fold out so that you can sort of save yourself a bit of space. So they come out and they just look like normal sunglasses, but you fold them in, you fold them in, and then you fold them in. So it just is a really great little pair of sunglasses because it just saves loads of space, and they're just in this tiny little cute little case. And I'll try and leave the information down below if I can find out what the sort of the name of these are, but I believe they're still available, although I don't really see them in a lot of places. But I actually got these out of House of Fraser or Debenhams, one of the two, so I'll find out for you guys. But they're just really cute, and obviously you need sunglasses, and they're just a really great way of saving a bit of space in your bag. Next up, it's ID and a bank card, and I don't like to take my whole purse with me. I like to get my cash out before I get to the festival, and I just like to take my bank card with me just in case of emergencies. Obviously you're going to need ID if you intend to drink, or sometimes you need them to get into the festival with your tickets, which also reminds me that I need to tell you guys to pack your tickets. I know that's probably a really obvious thing, but it's just so, obviously it's so essential that you pack them, but it's quite easily missed, I think. And there have been occasions where, there was one occasion where I had to drive home because I forgot my tickets when I went to V Festival one year, and I think I'd got about 5, 10, 15 minutes up the road and I realised I'd forgotten them. So just make sure you pack your tickets. Next up is a totally essential item, and it's a packet of tissues, or alternatively a whole. If you're going for the weekend, you need to take at least 2 loo rolls with you, but just a packet of tickets for it in your bag, because there will be a situation where you're going to go to the toilet and there's going to be no toilet paper in there. Okay, you've just got to accept it. So if you're thinking that it's going to be full of toilet paper, it's going to be all lovely and clean, then just think again. You're definitely going to need these. Also, they're great for like spillages if you get drink on yourself, or if someone decides to chuck beer over the crowd or some other kind of, you know, fluid, then these are just really great for wiping yourself down with. So I would definitely suggest at least 1 packet of tissues, if not 2 for the day. And next up is another essential, and this is really great for if you're suffering with a hangover, or just whether the stresses and the strains of the day have just got a bit too much for you, and just make sure you pack yourself some painkillers. I always find I get a headache at the end of the day, and it might be because I haven't drunk enough, or whether I've not drunk enough water or whatever, but just make sure you pack yourself some painkillers, because there's nothing worse than either having to go to bed or having to come home with a headache. Next up is another item that you're going to need. Either take yourself a brush or a comb. I've got my Tangle Teezer, which I really love, and this is like a compact version, so it's got a case at the bottom so that you don't damage any of the teeth. And this is probably, you know, I'd probably suggest taking a comb, but this doesn't take up too much room. I think they're slightly smaller than the normal Tangle Teezers, and I just love Tangle Teezers, so yeah, definitely take yourself something that you can brush your hair with. Another totally essential thing to take is your mobile phone. Obviously, if you're going with friends, there could be a point where one of you needs to go to the toilet, one of you needs to go to the bar, some of you are still standing there, so there might be a time where you might lose one another, and definitely keep your mobile phones on you. I would suggest, because a lot of places don't get great signal, that often makes your battery wear out more, where it's constantly searching for the signal. So if you want to be sort of quite battery savvy, just turn it off for as long as what you can. Obviously, if you're going to be taking photos and things like that, your battery's going to run out really quickly anyway, but I would just suggest turning it off unless it's really necessary, and just keeping it on you at all times. Next up, you're going to need at least 1 bottle of this, especially if you're going for more than sort of 2-3 days. Then I would definitely suggest picking yourself up a couple of these, because the last thing you want is that you're going to run out or you're going to lose it. This is just totally essential. Obviously, unless you're in sort of like a VIP area or you've got special tickets, you're not going to have access to any kind of hand washing, hand basin, any soap or anything like that. So after you've gone to the toilet or after you've done something totally grim, you're gonna need to do this over your hands. And this is just the Carex Moisture Plus hand gel, which I actually really like because it smells nice, and it also just keeps your hands nice and sort of like moisturized. It doesn't dry them out at all. So yeah, obviously I don't really need to say any more about that, but totally essential. A little compact mirror probably will enter into your bag at some point. It's just a tiny little mirror. Obviously if you're going to be topping up your makeup during the day or just keeping an eye on what you look like, then you're going to want something like this. Hairbands and hair clips, totally essential, because if it rains or if someone spills a drink over you, I say spill, what I mean is actually chuck, then you're going to want to put your hair back, whether it's your fringe, your actual hair, whatever, you're going to want to put it back. So just make sure you take loads of bobby pins, take yourself a couple of hair bands, especially if you're staying overnight. There's going to be some dry shampooing going on. There might be days where you're going to want to wear your hair up. So yeah, definitely get yourself some of these. Probably not entirely essential, but I always like to take a packet of chewing gum with me just to sort of keep my mouth nice and fresh during the day, because when you're consuming a lot of alcohol, or not a lot, but you know, some, and obviously you're going to be eating and drinking probably not the healthiest foods, it's just nice to have a little refresher in the form of a chewing gum. I think all I've got left now, guys, is just makeup items to show you, and I just like to keep it really basic when I go to a festival. This is pretty much the look I would go for, and I have actually done a post on my makeup look. I try and keep it really, really basic, and with regards to putting things in my bag, I just try and stick to the bare minimum, what I feel like I can get away with. So I'm going to show you guys just the bits and pieces that I would just take with me, not necessarily the things that I would use in total. First up is my Bare Minerals loose powder, and I've also got a face brush that I like to use. I realise this is a really big brush, and if you're worried about sort of getting the bristles out of place, then probably don't take yourself a brush, or take an old brush. But I always like to take a face powder and a brush, because I don't really want to be carrying around a bottle of foundation. This is not particularly heavy, this is not particularly heavy, and this is just going to help me touch up during the day. Concealer is also a great thing to take, because obviously it doesn't take up much room. This is just a collection concealer, and I've got this in the shade medium. I usually use a lighter one, but I'm quite tanned at the moment, so I'm using a medium shade. But this is just good for going over any blemishes that you might have, or just underneath the eyes, just for a little bit of a wake up while you're out and about. I've got a highlighter up next, and you probably don't consider this entirely essential, but this is just so tiny. It can just fit nicely in your bag, and it's the Me 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 Beat the Blues Pearl Pink highlighter, and this is a really great little highlighter. This is not actually in my makeup look that I've used for this sort of feature, but this is just so tiny that you can just fit it in your makeup bag so nicely, and it's really great because you don't need a brush. It's just sort of like a, you know, like a nail varnish kind of brush, and you just dab it on and you can just pat it in. So that's a really great highlighter if you're into that sort of thing, and that's something that you want to take with you because it's just so minuscule. This year at Wireless I ended up taking my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge. It's a bit dirty, so apologies for that, but this is just really great for going over any areas where you're getting a bit shiny, or just for trying to get the last bits of the product out. It just saves taking a whole foundation pot, and obviously I've got my loose powder there anyway for filling any of the gaps. Okay, I've got 3 more items to show you guys, and the first one is the Maybelline Lasting Drama Black Shock Gel Liner, and this is the best liner I've ever tried. It's gel, so it's gonna be really sort of, it really does stick in place, and it also suggests that you take it off a waterproof eye makeup remover, so unless you're going to take that with you, perhaps this is not the best one, but it just lasts really well. It's really easy to use. I can't express how easy this is to use, so it's going to be really great if you've only got a little compact mirror, and this is just something I'd use to just touch up during the day, because sometimes you do get a little bit of, you know, gappage going on, so you might just want to fill that in. But this is a really great liner if you haven't tried it, or if you don't really want to try the Benefit one. This is just a really great cheaper alternative, and I really love that. Last up, I've got a couple of lip products, and the first one I'm going to show you guys is the Bourjois Rouge Edition Velvet in Framboise, which is number 2, and this is just a really nice sort of reddy pinky colour, and I like to keep my makeup really simple for a festival, because the last thing you'll want to be doing is keep touching up all the time or checking your mirror all the time. And for my lips, I really want something that's going to be really long wearing, really long lasting, and I know the Bourjois Rouge Edition Velvets always deliver. I literally have to apply this sort of once or twice. You don't have to apply it more than that, and I just keep it topped up with Vaseline, and at the moment I'm using the limited edition Paint the Town Red lip tint, which just goes really nicely over the top of it, and it just sort of, once this has got a little bit of fade on it, then this just sort of perks it up a little bit. And I always like to take sort of Vaseline with me, because if the sun's beating down you just want a little bit of protection on your lips, and these two are a really great combo for if you're going to a festival. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Hopefully you've enjoyed my What's in My Bag Festival edition. If you want more information on a post about my makeup look, then I'll leave the link down in the description below. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye, take care.